like and what life was like before for you, Sabrina, when you first found out that you were pregnant with your son and the situation with your family life. Can you break that down for us and just share a little bit to let us and the audience know where you began in
Yeah,
this journey?
I was 20 years old when I found out I was pregnant. I was not married, and I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. So in that religion, sex before marriage is a huge no-no, and being pregnant is, sometimes part of that. So when I announced that I was pregnant, probably about 4 or 5 months in, I was cast out. I was what's called disfellowshipped, where you lose communication with everyone you've ever known your entire life. So my parents became Jehovah's Witnesses when I was 5. And so every friend I had ever was within the organization. And so when I got disfellowshipped, I lost everybody. So I led a single mom, just stereotypical, just all by myself, single mom, broke, no money. It was awful. Yeah, I got kicked out.
Yeah, that single mom life at a young age is a whole nother beast, different journey for sure. And to lose all of your connections like that, your parents and your friends, I can't even imagine. So, wow. Thank you so much for bringing us to that part of your life. And then, so as you were dealing with that, I understand that you winded up being a single mom. Is that correct? And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. All by myself. And just very naive. I was 20 years old. You don't even really know that much about life. You don't know anything. I mean, I think back now, it's like there's so many things that I could have done or should have done, and I just didn't know life. I didn't know options. I didn't know any other way of doing things. So, just kind of had to figure it out as I went.
Yeah, definitely. We just kind of go at it and take it one step at a time. I love how I believe you were probably around the same time that I was raising my kids. So, did you try to read all the little books by any
Yeah.
chance on how to take care of a kid, how to be a parent, how to do all of these things because you're figuring it out
That
yourself?
that infamous one that was like as big as a Bible, like
Oh,
yeah. I didn't even get through the whole thing. I just kind of skimmed through, or maybe even just like looked up when I was having issues. I would just like look up in the back
mm.
answers were. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting how a lot of us go that route and we're looking outside for these answers and trying to figure out what's the truth and how do I do this and how do I do it differently maybe than how my parents did or things like that. So okay, so we start off young and dumb and we get out there in the world and then you found yourself in a relationship.
Yeah.
And would you like to tell us a bit more about how that went?
Yeah, so broke and living paycheck to paycheck, barely able to make it. I mean, my car was getting repoed out of the parking lot like a few times. I was having eviction notices on my apartment door every other month. I mean, it was awful. And I met a guy. I met a guy, and he swooped me off my feet. He was a knight in shining armor, and I thought he was going to save me. And in many ways, he did, right? Financially. So very quickly, he moved me into his place and was like, that job sucks. Come work for me. And within a very short amount of time, he controlled where I was living and he controlled all of my money. And wasn't really paying me very much. He was paying me $250 a week. And on $250 a week, even with rent being paid, I was still paying tons in daycare, my phone, my car, my insurance. I still had no money. So I, eventually came to him. I'm like, I can't pay my phone bill. I'm literally negative. I said, I have no money. And instead of him giving me more money, looking back, it's interesting how this worked. But instead of him giving me more money, he said, close down your phone and just come under my phone bill. So then he controlled my phone.
Oh, wow.
Eventually, same thing with the car. Couldn't afford a car, get a car, all the things, right? And then he's like, oh, let me get a car for you under his
Mm.
under his name. So now I have no car. So this happened, over the course of a year or two, and me just being naive, just no idea what was happening. And this man slowly, as he gained more control of my life, he became meaner and meaner and meaner. And before I knew it, within, again, 1 or 2 years, I found myself living with a bully, somebody who every single day was mentally, emotionally, physically, and sexually abusing me so badly. And I had no way out. Remember, I'm disfellowshipped, so I have no contact with my friends or family. I'm now isolated. I don't have work friends to confide in because my work friends are his work friends now. And complete, complete isolation.
Wow, wow. It sounds like there's some great lessons in there of things other women can look for and watch out for before they get so deep.
Yeah.
So
And it was all
hopefully you're
presented
listening in.
it was all presented as gifts, and that's the thing to remember is, it wasn't like you're going to take my phone and be under my phone. It was like, hey, no problem, girl, no problem. Like, why don't you just close yours down and just come on under mine? So when it was happening, I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you. Oh my
Mm,
gosh, thank you. Until one day I turn around, the abuse is so bad, and I'm looking around, I'm like, dude, I have no way out. I
mm.
have no way out of this.
Yeah, yeah. It can feel very supportive until it's not.
Yeah.
So it's really good to have your own things, ladies. I think that's a lot of the conversation that's going around a lot right now. A lot of people are talking about the resurgence of the traditional housewife and that whole aesthetic and that whole concept, which is great. I love it. I've been a stay-at-home mom for many, many years, but I also always, try to remind people, have a bank account, have some way of making money, have a way to take care of yourself if you need to, because you never know what might happen. And even if you are in a great relationship and that man is amazing, what if something happens to his job and now you do have to take on all of these things? Do you even know how to pay your car bill and your phone bill and your light bill and, the house mortgage? Do you even know where to go? Because sometimes people are so detached from all of it from depending on someone else.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So just a little exercise or reminder to exercise caution. Love is a beautiful thing, but we do have to be humans and be responsible adults as well. So yeah, so you find yourself in this relationship, and how long did this go on for before you were able to find your way out?
Yeah, so 8 years in is when I came to an understanding that I was in an abusive relationship. So, many times, so I was with what's called a covert. Covert is somebody who presents himself being one way out in public and another way in private. So being in both sides with him, I was always very confused. I used to say it was like a roller coaster because this is the way I used to describe it to him. Like, I feel like I'm always on a roller coaster with you because when we were out in public or at work, he was nice, right? Not, he was never like so nice, but like kind, better, like a person, like just a regular person. Um, and then everything was good. And then we'd go home, but I didn't see the pattern until like, right, years in. And I'm like, dude, I'm noticing that when we're out, he plays this one. And then when we're private, he's playing this other where he's mean and he's cruel and he's, verbally lashing out at me. So one day we're at home. I'm on the floor in the bathroom in the fetal position, bawling my eyes out because he just got done just grabbed, just like all the things with me on multiple levels. And I'm crying and screaming on the floor. Meanwhile, he's in the bedroom, just like chilling, watching TV. And like bloody murder, like death is coming out of me. I am just so broken. And on the floor in the dark, fetal position. And I pulled out my phone out of my back pocket and I was like, why is my boyfriend bullying me? I just called it bullying. I'm just like, why is my boyfriend bullying me so bad? And boom, you're in an abusive relationship, narcissism, all the things just, I had never heard of this before. I never considered myself abused before. Because to me, abuse was bruises and cuts and knives and guns and police are coming to the house and all the things. Um, and opened my eyes, and literally within, and this is why I give people a hard time sometimes when they're looking to change identities. I changed my identity within 60 seconds. I went from being this victim who had no way out, who was so confused. It was her. She was the problem, right? You're the problem. You're the issue. You. If you would just do better, be better, all the things, right? To now empowering myself and started making a plan. Literally, I dried my tears. I got up after skimming maybe like three. It was just so obvious. I was like, oh my gosh. And I started making a plan. And within 4 years, I collected $50,000 secretly. I opened three online businesses. And over the course of 4 years, I collected $50,000 and I literally just ran away one day.
Mm. Wow. Yes, and that is so powerful what you say about that decision change. If you make the decision and you actually truly make the decision, you will change instantly. And that's why you do have those people that are like, oh, yeah, I stopped smoking or I quit drinking or I stopped this. And you're like, people are like, wow, how? Like you didn't go through this 12-step plan and you didn't, have to sit in rehab for 3 years. And no, if you can really just make that decision with yourself and change who you are, that's literally what it is, your identity, saying, I am no longer a person that does this. I'm a person that does
Exactly.
this now.
Exactly. And the one
Yes.
thing that changed for me and I continue to use today is the thought process instead of going, because I was in the victim mentality for all those 8 years and everything was always, I can't, it's impossible, there's no way, he controls everything, I have nothing, he has everything, nothing's in my name, I have no time to myself, no friends, no outside resources, all the things. And the thing that changed, which I didn't make this up, this is something that I had read, to go from I can't to how can I? And when I started being in the mindset, instead of like, there's no extra time to like run a side business, how could I? And when I started to be in curiosity, versus like absolutely no, cannot, but just curious, like what would it look like? What if I did? How would I do that? Where would it be? How would it be run? Where would it go? Then all of a sudden, the creativity that came out of my mind that was there the whole time, but I was like squishing it down, came to light. And within just a few months, I opened up a secret bank account. I started these online businesses. I mean, not like day one, right? This was over a course of a few months. But once I realized that it was possible, I just ran with it. I remember my very first sale. So one of the first businesses that I started was an eBay store. I started listing my son's books. So books from when he was a baby that he wasn't reading anymore online for eBay. That was the very first thing I started. The very first book that I sold was How to Give a Mouse a Cookie. And I sold it for something like, I don't know, like $2.15. It wasn't anything, but it sold and it was $2 and whatever cents. And I remember, I will never forget this sale. Like the euphoria that came over me of like, oh my, because I had, this was not a thing, right? I was being told that I was stupid, I was dumb, I wasn't a business person, I could never do it without him, I could never make money without him, he needs me, whatever. And I made $2 and I was like, what? I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna get out. This is my answer. I can't even believe this is happening right now. And I packed it up and I went to the post office to go send it. And then the postage was like 20 cents more than what I sold it for. So if it sold for like $2.10 and the postage was like $2.30 to send it. So now it was like negative 20 cents. And I went from like total euphoria, I'm going to take over the world, I'm going to be a millionaire, to absolute defeat. Like in my stomach because I already had no money and now I'm paying somebody to take this book for me. And so in my car on the way back, two things, and this is where people die, is there's two things right in my head of close the whole thing down. It all sucked. I don't know what I'm doing. He's right. I'm not a businessman. I have no business doing this. I don't even know what I'm doing. This is going to be awful. I'm going to lose all of my money and this is going to be a disaster. Or how can I fix it? What can I do? Who can teach me? And this is the crossroads that so many people get to with everything, with business, with relationships, with friendships, with housings, with financials, with, right? And many people go this way where they just like kill it, diet, and just end up watching Netflix and just forget about it and never do it again. And then there's another portion that goes this way and says, how can I do it better? Where can I fix it? All of the things. And I luckily went that route. And I watched a couple of YouTube videos on postage and figured out how to profit off of postage versus losing money. And I changed all of the postage. Took a while because there was maybe like, I don't know, 40 or so books on there at this point. And went through, changed them all, and then boom, started making money. And that was the start. That was the start to a business that started to give me $2, $5, $10, $2, $7. And then I had 100, and then I had 200. And that was the start of everything.
Love that. I love that so much. It all started with How to Give a Mouse a Cookie.
Yeah.
One of my favorite books. So that is amazing because, yes, a lot of us will start things. And then if it doesn't go the way we expect, that defeatism comes in and you're just like, forget it. I'm not capable of this, or this isn't for me. So I love that you gave that perspective of how to reset and look at your situation and move forward from that. And then also before that, when you were talking about the whole identity part and asking the right questions is so key. I don't remember who said it, but they said your life is based on the ability to ask the right questions. So the better questions you can ask, the better life you can have. So getting out there and being creative and figuring it out. I love that so much. And so that leads us into what you do. And I just want to go ahead and introduce you to the audience for everyone that is watching currently and has been listening into us. I just want you to know a little bit more about the lovely Sabrina Victoria who's joining us today. She is a TEDx speaker, a powerhouse entrepreneur, and founder of Her Nation Global. It's a bold media platform designed to elevate women in business through high visibility features like podcasts, digital magazine covers, and transformational events. With 20 plus years in door to door sales and the co creation of multiple 6 and 7 figure ventures, Sabrina leads with charisma, strategy, and an unapologetic belief in the power of community and connection. So, how did we go from selling How to Give a Mouse a Cookie to Her Nation? I'd love to hear the story of that journey.
Yeah. I mean, that's the long one, but I'll try to keep it under a couple of minutes. So, yeah, so wound up running away from that relationship and started meandering in my own stuff. Had no idea what I was doing. Started with a podcast and um, I didn't know, right? Because not familiar with online businesses. Didn't know that online businesses was really even a thing, but online business owners a lot of times like to be interviewed on podcasts. And so I ended up interviewing authors and people who were business owners, and I started to just kind of be like, how are you doing that? How are you making money? What does that look like? Um, how much money are you making? What's it? And started kind of digging into coaching. And I wound up I'm actually a master, an NLP master. I'm actually a master hypnosis. And so I've probably spent throughout my healing journey and coaching journey, probably upwards of about 70 to $80,000 at this point. And so yeah, just kind of slowly morphed that podcast into what I have now. So I run a community called Her Nation Global. It's several different things. It's the podcast still. I also run a digital magazine. I also run a media agency where we help individuals rebrand their websites. We do long form video and a short form video. We help with course creation. And then I also run a community called H Club where we do masterminds and networking and sales workshops and business workshops. And basically, it's an ecosystem of helping women create thriving businesses versus businesses that are barely surviving. So one of the biggest issues with entrepreneurs in general, not even just women, is just the sales. These brilliant individuals that know so much and can give so much to the world, but they don't know how to get out there. They don't know how to get seen. They don't know how to close sales. They don't understand the customer journey in, how to present yourself and then how to actually get their money into your bank account. And so since, background is sales, I've been in sales my whole life, have been able to take that information and present it to these ladies.
Nice, I love that. And I guess we kind of skipped over the rest of your sales experience, but after giving a mouse a cookie, you say you went into more things and you did door-to-door sales. Would you like to share a little bit about what that was like?
Yeah, so the door-to-door sales was actually also with my ex, with that guy. So
Okay.
we ran door-to-door sales offices. So it was 6 offices, four different states, 150 sales reps. I was running the entire thing. My background is door to door because I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. So I've been going door to door since I was 5. And then even before I met him, I was doing business to business and door to door, which is how I ended up in his world, is because I was already well versed. I have only done sales. That's all I've ever done. So he was attracted to my mind and my ability to be able to recruit and sell, which is how our conversations first started. Like our conversations first started with him taking me to lunch, trying to pick my brain on how to sell. Because he was running door-to-door crews. So he wound up bringing me in. When I say he hired me or that was my job, that's what he brought me into. He brought me from the sales position I was in to his sales conglomerate. And him and I blew it up. It went from just him running out of his little townhouse to multiple offices across several states and millions of dollars coming in.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that those two went together, so that's great to tie it all in, and that makes sense. Yeah, Jehovah Witness going door to door. Even in other countries, it's been interesting for us since we've been traveling as expats to have the Jehovah's Witness come to the door in a different language. And I'm like, sorry, I can't converse with you, but have a lovely day. Uh, so, so yeah, that does definitely give you a very strong background and framework for how to do business, how to do sales, and I'm sure that really helped when you decided to go out on your own and start with selling things on eBay.
Yeah, it's been a very, especially in the beginning, very interesting because the entire time as I was looking to leave him, as I was making more money, one of the things that I love to talk about is when I was in that relationship, he used to mock me a lot. He used to say, whoever has all the money has all the power. Whoever makes all the money makes all the rules. And at that point, I didn't have any money. He was controller of everything. So he'd always look at me and he'd be like, "Do you have any money?" And I'd be like, "No." And he'd be like, "Okay, well, you have no power and you can't make any rules. So what I say goes." And then one day during all of this, right, there's so many threads, right, in our lives. But while I'm in the midst of like breaking and rebuilding and thou businesses, I started to realize that when he was saying this, whoever has all the money has all the power. I one day had an epiphany. I'm like, he's not saying he has all the money. He's saying whoever has all the money. So if I have money, will I have power? And what I started to realize, which a lot of people don't like to admit this, but when I started to realize is the more money I started to collect in my bank account secretly, the more powerful I felt because fear was no longer a thing. So once I had like 10 grand, 20 grand, 25 grand, I started to just step into my power. Because at that point, I realized that if he one day was just like, "Get out of my house, you're not a la 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 allowed here anymore," I was fully capable of taking care of myself. So there was no fear there. And that's one of the things that one of my joys of teaching women how to sell is it's not about greed. It's not about, I want to buy a Lamborghini like you see all over social and live in a penthouse. No, it is about choice. It is about freedom. It is about confidence. It's about power. It's about knowing that you and maybe your children, right? I'm a single mom. I have a baby that I'm taking care of, are totally capable of taking care of ourselves. A lot of times we don't like to admit that money is everything. Like we don't want to say it. We don't want to say it because then we sound so icky. But girl, if you don't have money, you have nothing, dude. You can have love, but where are you living in that love? You can have friendship, but where are you living? You have to have money to live. It's just unfortunate, right? It's unfortunate, but you have to. And when you really dig down to the nitty-gritty of it, it is necessary for freedoms and for choices and for power. Um, yeah, and I believe that with all of my heart. And I really want women to understand that and be okay with that and lean into that and build for that, not only for themselves, but to show other women that it can be done. That's the main thing. A lot of it isn't like, I'm trying to get to the top. It's like, I'm trying to get to the top so other women can see that it's possible. That's what it's all about. Because when people can start to see that it's possible, they'll start to do it for themselves.
Mhm. Yeah, that is so key. And I'm glad that you were able to see that in what he was saying and be like, wait a minute, how can I use this for me instead of against me? And the
Yeah.
way to use it for yourself, ladies, is to realize that yes, money is power and you can have some too. So getting out there and getting control of your own finances is so helpful and so beneficial. I love how you brought up the mindset, even just seeing it in your bank account. Like he doesn't need to know you have it, but you know you have it. And now you feel more powerful and now you feel more aligned and that you can get things done and take care of yourself. And that's super, super valuable.
Yeah.
Um,
I always tell people who say like money isn't everything. I'm always like, dude, you've never had no money then. See,
mhm,
I've had no money. I've had 2 weeks left in my month and I'm at negative $32 with a baby in diapers.
mhm.
Dude, no, that's not a fucking thing, dude. It's not a
Yeah,
thing. The anxiety, the stress, the overwhelm, the suicidal thoughts. It's a real fucking thing, dude.
yeah.
So anybody who ever says that to me, I get that a lot because I'm like a hard worker, I'm a hustler, calm down, settle down, take care of yourself. Money isn't everything, girl. Do not say that to me because I
Mhm.
have had no money. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yes. Yes. I love one of my favorite quotes. I'm going to mess it up, but one of my mentors, she says, money isn't everything, but it touches everything that's important.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because a lot of people will say, like, oh, it's not that important. It's not, I don't care about money or whatever when they're trying to work with her and build their business. And it's like, well, what are you building a business for if you don't care about money? Because money touches everything that's important. It touches everything that we need. We can't really live without it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So,
It's literally one of my biggest pet peeves. And I hate that there's so much negativity around it. You know, it's the devil or it's an
mhm,
unnecessary or it's a necessary evil or all. It's like, girl, it's part of just being alive, whether it's
mhm,
money or whether it's bartering or all of the different ways that we used to exchange. It is necessary. There is an exchange of something that has to happen. It could be time, it could be energy, it could be money, it could be knowledge, but there's a barter that has to happen since the start of time, since the start of
mhm,
time. So now it's just in the form of just this currency. That's the exchange, but it's the same as it was back then. So in like the most medieval time, right? In the most
mhm.
medieval caveman times, there was still an exchange of corn, wheat, rocks, something pretty, whatever it is. Now it's just it's just currency, but it's the
Yeah.
same exact thought process as that.
Yeah, we just put it in paper form to make it easier because maybe I don't want your eggs this week, but
Yeah.
I do still want to give you this dress you want. So we can't barter all the time. It's a storage of value. And I think if more people just keep that in their mind, that we're just storing our value and being able to transfer it between other people and get the things that we want and need. And that's what it's for. And I love also the concept of maybe you think that you have enough money. And so you don't want to be greedy and you don't want to make more money. But to think of the concept of the fact, like you said, the more money you make, the more women can see that it's possible. The more money you make, the more people you can actually help. The more money you make, the better society can be if you're a good person because you're going to put your money into good things. So that's another way also that I like to remind people to think about it, that the more you make, you may not want it. Maybe you don't need a bigger house or more things, but you can use it to bring value to other situations and other people's lives.
Absolutely. And then that's one of the visions for myself and for the brand that I'm creating is once we get to a point where we're doing well for ourselves as a brand to be able to open a nonprofit. So it's like the vision is vast, ladies. It doesn't have to be like, oh, just so I can get by or, oh, I don't need that penthouse girl. Okay, so you don't need the penthouse, then don't buy the penthouse. But now you have money that you can do towards good because you're a good person, right? So if you want to go save the whales, or if you want to open up dog shelters, or if you want to help the homeless, like for me, single moms is obviously, right, a huge thing for me. So I have this amazing vision of a nonprofit that I'm so excited about, but I can't create it, right? Conceptually, you can only do so much at one point. So you have to put your oxygen mask on first. You have to take care of yourself first, and your money first, and your family first. But then once that's taken care of, that's my obligation. Then I have this amazing vision for this crazy, beautiful nonprofit that I want to start for women who are coming out of abusive relationships, women who are all on their own, women who don't know how to anything about how to run a life, right? The the being naive when you're first coming into adulthood, to be able to do that. And I'm so excited for that. So that's also part of my vision is, the steps of, here, this is where I am now. And then I have to do this, and then I have to do this, and it's going to be so exciting. And if we can all have that big vision for impacting the world, versus being so egotistical and so selfish and being like, I'm just going to make enough just for myself. Girl, what are you doing? If you have the capability and the knowledge to be able to impact the whole world with your brilliance, why are you not working towards getting that out there to such a capacity where you don't need any more money? And now that money can go towards people who can't afford your services, but need your services. That's what we need to be thinking. We're all thinking so small. If I just want to take what I need, I just want, girl, no, absolutely not. Because there are bad people out there who are taking money and doing bad things with it. So we need to be, it is our obligation to take as much of it as possible and then do good things with it. And we can start to expand our vision to that height. That's when it becomes fun. That's when it becomes creative. That's when it becomes brilliant and bright and exciting, and we get excited about building what we're building because there's so much more than just let me just take care of just the necessities.
Yes, yes, there's so much more than just the necessities of life. I do love that song though from the Jungle Book.
Oh, good one.
The
Yes.
bare necessities that just came to mind as you said that. But yeah, that's definitely really, really key. And I'd love if you could think of if there's a woman out there watching this episode and she's, sitting at home today or she's in her car or whatever, and she's listening to what we're talking about and she's thinking, I might be in the same situation as Sabrina or something similar. How do I get back my power? And what are the first steps? Where should I begin? What would you say to her to kind of get moving in the direction where she'll have finances and be able to do things on her own if she needs to and have that healing mentally, physically in her life.
There's so many different ways. There's like 1,000 things that I'm thinking of right now. What I'm going to really concentrate on for this question, just knowing that there's so many different answers to that, is the identity. This was one of the biggest issues that I had myself. So during the time with my ex, playing the victim. And that's what that we're all playing something. You're either playing victor, you're playing victim, we're all playing something, right? It's just this is just all a big game. And I was playing victim. When I had to make a choice, when I had done enough personal development, I had read enough books, there came a point where I was like, dude, I can't keep being this. I can't keep being in the story of like, woe is me, and I can't do anything because of him. I'm not going to amount to anything because I was abandoned, because I was broke, because, my inner child is broken, because of all the stories, right? I'm never going to amount into anything because of this. And that is a story that a lot of people, we all know somebody, right? We all know somebody who's sitting in the story of, and you know that person because every time you go to them, it's always woe is me. Oh, but this. Oh, but my job and my boss and my ex and my current boyfriend and my husband and my kids and my father and my mother. And we're in our head just like, girl, get the over it. What are we even doing right now? And when I went from that and I had done enough personal development, there was a choice I had to make of like, am I going to become a different person? Because this person knows to never get anywhere. They never amount to anything because their identity is they're small because of the thing. And I knew inside, I had a gut, I had like a light inside of me. I knew it. I was starting to build, I was making money on the side, I was starting to like show my brilliance. And I was like, dude, I'm fucking smart. I like know things. I am intuitive. I am capable. Look at what I'm doing all by myself. And there was a moment, I cannot tell you when the moment was, but this is the vision that I consistently had. I was over here on like a cliff as a victim. And then my powerful self, my victor, who I was like talking to, I'm like, hey, over there, how you doing over there? And sometimes I'd be like, pretend to be that person over here. I'd be like, I am powerful. And I'd like, walk and talk and be confident. But I'm still the victim, but I'm like pretending to be her. Right. And then there's a point in time where you can choose to jump. And it's so scary to jump. I don't know why it's so scary or what's so scary. I know why. What's so scary? Why is because you have to kill one identity. You have to completely leave. You can't just walk, it's a jump. So you can't just like walk over and open the door whenever you want to and become a victim. It's like not a thing, girl. So when you decide to make this death defying jump to a more powerful person, there's no, you just like waddle back to being a victim. It's no longer a thing. And even when you are a victor, sometimes you sit and you're like, I'm going to be a victim, right? We're like, oh, we sit and we'll sit for like 2 seconds and then we're like, oh, yeah, we can't do this. Oh, yeah, we can't be a victim. We already know that that's like not a thing anymore. And that's a very scary place to be. Once I decide to be a victor, I can never, ever be a victim again. It's like a real scary thing to do. And when I left her behind, I don't know when it happened. Maybe it was gradual, but there was a jump that I did. And you're committing to being a more powerful person. You're committing to being owning your own decisions, forgiving people, leaving the past behind. I mean, there's so much growth. There's so much unfairness sometimes um, that you have to lean into to become this different persona. And to your question, what do you have to do? That is one of the things you have to do.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. Like you said, that whole identity of who am I going to be going forward? How do I overcome this? How do I become my own hero and save myself instead of waiting for someone to come get me? I'm the victim, someone come save me. We have to be our own sheroes, as one of my friends likes to say. So I love that. I think that's a really, really great place to start. And I can't think of a better one because how we think and how we see ourselves has so much control over what we actually do.
Yep.
So I love how you shared that. And then also the concept of, okay, yeah, I'm going to have a little pity party for a few seconds here, a few minutes, maybe a day at the most, but I
Yes,
can't stay in this. I have to
yes,
get back to work. I have to get back to taking care of myself and
yep,
doing what needs to be done. Yes. Sometimes a lot of people try to act like, oh, yes, you're just going to be strong all the time. And that's not life. Unfortunately, you're going to have bad days. Things
yes,
will go off, and you have to learn how to roll through that.
yep.
Have to go with those ebbs and flows and not get stuck in it.
Exactly, exactly. That's the
Yeah.
key. That's the key.
Yeah, I love that. So, if what Sabrina is saying is speaking to you or you have questions, please let us know. The chat is open. And if you catch this after we're no longer live, you can also drop things in the comments and we'll come back by and hopefully be able to, give you resources and help you out and answer any questions that you may have. So, let's carry on. I would love to know a little bit more, if you don't mind sharing, about the nonprofit idea. Would you like to bring us a little more into that? Because, yes, single moms, I'm here for it.
I don't know if I want to share it.
Yeah, I know. I know. Sometimes it's like, "Ah, I'm still working on this. It's my baby. I'm gonna keep it close
No,
to heart." So I
I know
understand.
exactly what it is.
No,
I
no,
don't,
I'm saying you want to keep it to yourself. Like, I,
yes.
I get that.
Okay, so I'll do a concept. So, the concept is to teach someone, to give someone a fish or to teach someone to fish.
Hmm.
So it's that concept of, instead of the nonprofit being like, I'm just going to give money, I'm just going to give you, the idea is to actually teach them how to. So teach them how to run a business, teach them how to do the things. So more educational, it'll be an educational nonprofit versus a nonprofit that just like hands out clothes, hands out baby books, hands out, no hands out. There's no handing
Hmm.
out of anything. The entire thing is going to be educational around money, business, and success. And it is, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for it.
I'm excited with you. That sounds amazing. Because, yes, we need more of that, more of the sharing of knowledge. We're
Yeah.
handing out knowledge, ladies. Come get some.
Yes. Yes, that's the thing. And the idea is the women like myself who just happened to be in a shitty circumstance. They're good people. They're not looking for handouts. They want to work, but just they got stuck in a shitty situation, can have a place to learn those things. Because there are people like that. Not every single mom, not every single mom on the planet is looking for a handout. There is a certain sect that they were taught by their parents for just handouts. Those people will not be interested in my nonprofit. That will not be a thing. They will not, they'll come knocking at the door and they'll be like, oh, we have to actually, oh yeah, no, thank you. Um, this is going to be created to help create brilliant, successful women out of the darkness.
I love that so much. Definitely something I would have been looking for during my single mother period. But yes, so I'm excited. I will definitely be watching the journey and seeing how that goes and supporting it any and every way I can because I love that, especially when it comes to people that want to help people do more and do better and, live their best lives and be their best selves because there's so much more to this life than just existing. And I really want to help people be able to see that. So, another question I have for you is what used to be true for you, Sabrina, that isn't anymore?
Ooh, what used to be true for me that isn't anymore? Mm. Okay, so first thing that came up, this is kind of going two ways. I'm kind of having some cognitive dissonance with this. So, what used to be true to me is I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get emotional. I thought because of my abandonment, because I was punished for getting pregnant and everyone left me, I was left with this thought of nobody will help me, nobody will care for me. I have to do it all on my own. Is that true? This is my cognitive dissonance. Is that true to some capacity? Yeah. I had to figure out a way out. I had to take plans. I had to like there was things that I had to do in order to have the life that I have. And you have to learn to ask for help. I didn't ask for help for a really, 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 really long time, all the way through to building my business. Um, and I have recently, over the course of maybe the last 2 years, come to the realization that people do want to help. People do want to be there for you. People do want to give assistance. People do want to um, see you succeed. But it's just, are you surrounding yourself with the right kind of people? And that's the key. And that goes back to community. That goes back to what I'm building with Her Nation Global is surrounding yourself with a group of people who want and are building the same thing as you. That could be anything. It could be crocheting. It could be dance. It could be bingo. It could be spirituality. It could be church. For me, it's entrepreneurship, success, business, and being surrounded by women who get that, know that, understand that, want that for themselves, want that for their community, for the impact that they want to make on the world, has been very empowering for me and for them. And yeah, I would say I didn't think people gave a shit, but people do give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really good one
Yeah.
because a lot of us will wind up in that situation if we're somewhere where we're needing help and we're not seeing it, we're not feeling resourced, we're not finding people that we feel genuinely care or want to help. And it's like, there's no one, there's nobody here. I'm all on my own and I got to save myself, which is true. Like you said, like you do have to pull your big girl pants on, as they say, and get to it. But at the same time, there are a lot of lovely people out there that will support you and will show up for you after you show up for yourself.
And that's the key. Thank you for rewording that. That is exactly the key. You have to show that you're showing up for yourself, and then people will show up for you. Yeah, absolutely.
I
Well
love
worded.
that. I love that. I love that. So, with that in mind, I'd love to know more about because I've only briefly hung out in the group and things like that on Facebook. Can you share more with everyone that's watching what Her Nation Global is, what you do, what kind of support and services are involved, how they get involved with you?
Yeah, I mean, the idea is women coming together to leverage each other's resources. So we're not a family, there's no coddling over here. We are a team. So we are a team of women who are investing in each other to leverage each other's connections. So we share connections, knowledge, share knowledge, and resources. And the idea is this: you know something I don't know, and I know something you don't know. So when we come together and we share those connections, knowledge, and resources, then what happens? We both take a step up. So the idea is if we can get like-minded women together that understand and conceptualize, yeah, dude, I'll share with you if you share with me. We're moving at the speed of light because we are all in the same mindset of, yes, let's just make this happen. You want to be on more podcasts? I'll get you more. You get me more. Let's share. You want to understand how to use this platform? I want to understand how to use this platform. You know this, I know this. Let's share. You have a resource or a person or a connection. I have this resource and a connection. Let's share. And instead of it being competition, instead of it being this whole like, um, I don't want anybody to know anything because I don't want to help my competition, whatever it is. There is absolutely none of that in our community. And so along with that, right, the conceptualization of what that is as a team, we're also running masterminds where we have hot seats and we help each other. So a woman comes on and she says, hey, this is an issue that I'm having with my business. Can you ladies help me? And she has 20 minutes and the ladies come together and give her feedback and support. And this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing it. And what do you think about this? And then she gets to walk away with a plethora of information from women who are currently doing it right now successfully. We also run a networking call. We also run sales workshops where we actually write scripts and we write closings and we set up funnels for client journeys so that these women can actually take somebody who's cold and has never known them before and take them through a journey to actually end up having that person as a client. And then, of course, the media agency and then the podcasting, getting women seen and heard, the magazine, getting women seen and heard, and upping their social media, their SEO, their Google by having their name in different places. Online is where it's at right now. And if somebody Googles your name and nothing pops up except for a Facebook and then just a flimsy website, girl. But if you can be on podcasts, if you people scroll, I always say if people aren't scrolling 2 to 3 pages with your name, girl, you're not doing it right. There needs to be at least 2 to 3 pages front and center of your name or your business or your brand where there's podcasts, magazine articles, your website, all of your social media, your Google business, a plethora to show that you are a secure, structured, stable company that people can invest money into. A lot of us are asking for tens of thousands of dollars, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, $20,000 from our clients. And then all you're showing for it is a little website and a little website and a couple social media links. And then we're like, oh, why isn't anyone buying from us? Scroll. You look like you just started. You look like you just started. And if you look like you just started, then no one can take you seriously to be able to hand over their hard earned money. There has to be an exchange of services. So you have to show that you are worthy of that exchange of services by doing the due diligence of creating that stability for yourself and that structure for yourself in your business. So that's what we really help women do.
Beautiful, beautiful. And where can they find you?
Um,
Let's make sure we get the website out there.
so my website's the easiest because my name is right here. So sabrinavictoria.com. And then literally everything that I do is brilliantly laid out on that website.
Awesome, awesome. I'm making sure that we have it there in the chat so that people can get to you quickly because I know they're going to want to get involved and get in your circle. I remember when you first called me over on Owl, and I was like, oh, this lady sounds amazing. Oh, what she's doing. And then we got disconnected somehow and we lost each other. And then eventually I found you and I'm like, oh, yeah, Her Nation. There we go. And so happy that we were able to connect and finally be able to sit down and have a chat and learn a bit more about each other and what you're doing and share it with the listeners here today. So thank you so much for being with us. And if someone only remembered one sentence from this conversation or one concept, what do you think that should be?
Yeah, the mantra that I've been carrying with myself since my early 20s is um, everything's going to be okay. It's sweet, it's simple. You say it with a calming mindset when we're in the middle of anxiety, stress, overwhelm, all of the things. Find a quiet spot, take a deep breath, and just remind yourself of all of the things that you've been through. You are absolutely capable of doing so much. You've already been through so much. You're still but here, and everything's going to be okay. You got this.
Definitely, definitely. I love that. Everything's going to be okay. And one of the things I love to say is that you've survived all of your worst days so far because you're still here.
I love it.
So,
Yep,
but yeah,
absolutely.
everything's going to be okay. I love that. Um, and so we've got your website. We've talked about Her Nation. Was there anything else that you would like people to know before we close up today?
Anything else?
Did we miss anything? Did we skip over anything?
I mean, I work with women business owners. If you're a woman business owner and you're doing so, you're struggling with the sales part, you're struggling with getting people to really understand who you are and what you do with an exchange of monetary value. I would love to have a conversation with you and give you some tips. Reach out.
Awesome, awesome, beautiful. Well, hopefully you ladies take her up on that. Sabrina has been doing wonderful things out there in the business world for a while now and helping lots of amazing women do it as well. So I just want to say thank you so much again for joining us today, Sabrina. I know you've had a busy week. So I appreciate you making time for us. And to all the viewers that are watching today, I appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, get this information out to more wonderful women so that we can all do better. Thank you for joining us today for the Harmony Principle podcast, where we help you return to rhythm. And we will see you next Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time.